Happy 2023. If I haven't said that to you yet, it's so interesting that we are already on the 21st day, of January. We are 21 days already into the new calendar year. And, I was just thinking of so many things, because people came into, and they tend to come into New Year's with different expectations. And sometimes not every expectation that people are carrying is their, it's not every expectation is their own. Have you ever had that happen to you, that you're carrying the expectation of something or someone else? And I just was feeling that so strongly this morning. We had prayer, and people are in different phases of prayer and fasting, and so a lot of my friends, the different conversations we've had and communication, a lot of it is about expectation and anticipation. For example, some people are changing from old expectations, and they're anticipating something new. So, has your year so far gone as you've expected it to be, as you have expected it to be? Because you may be still carrying expectations that are not your own, or for example, that's not really God's desire for you. And that could be a struggle. Overall, many of us, and every person, if you're alive, you will be faced with sudden changes, unexpected challenges in life. And it's possible that you're facing some of those changes and challenges that you didn't expect right now. It's kind of like Job, right? Job had a lot of hopes and expectations, and so many things happened to him that he got to the place where in scripture, he said, all my hopes have vanished. But we know God had a plan for Job's future, one that was even better than the past. Every expectation and hope that he had in the past, God's plan for him would exceed that, despite his struggles. So when you get into this new calendar year, sometimes we just try to jump into those things, right? And we don't really take a pause to really reflect, to slow down, to meditate, to pray, and to seek God's wisdom and direction regarding his plans for our lives and what our expectations should be aligning with. This world moves quickly. It's almost like Christmas didn't happen. That's how fast we move. But one of the things we need to remember, and it's something I've raised before with people who are familiar with me, is that Epiphany is not something that we expect and embrace only during Christmastide. When we have Christ as our chief and as the center of our lives, we always have to live in this expectation with moments that will cause us to come to ourselves. That sometimes you've been going through certain things, or you've living through certain things, and you get to a place where you begin to come to yourself. And what I mean by that is you kind of have a knowing and a knowledge, and you really begin to acknowledge like the divinity in the reality of your life. And for some people, that may be an uncomfortable place. For some people, it may be a place of real clarification where they at least know that all these expectations that they had in the past, all these expectations that they were carrying that really belong to other people, that they can let that go. When you come to yourself, that happened to the prodigal son. He got to a place and said he came to himself. And his life changed in the sense that he began to see his father and his circumstances, even his future, differently. We can be that person, but we don't have to get to a certain state before we come to ourselves. We don't have to rush into the rest of this year we can take the time that we need to pause. You know what I'm saying? To ask God to help us to align ourselves with his expectation, because he is our hope, right? And if our expectation is in him, our lives, the path we're taking should align with that. And sometimes that's not easy, because everything about us, sometimes inside we're confused. But when we get this reality that divinity is in us, divinity is with us, that's what Epiphany is all about, right? That's really the true way that we can face, deal with, balance, the problems and the trials that just come with change. I was reading through Ezra today, and just right in the beginning of Ezra 1, where it says, God stirred up the heart of Cyrus. God doesn't just stir up, and when it's moved, someplace that's moved, inspire, it means that stirring up, that moving on the heart means many things. He's moving on our inner being. He's moving on the spirit within us, because sometimes we're out of our own natural strength. We're out of our own abilities. We're out of our own understanding, and we're not sure which way to go. But the God of heaven stirred up. Okay, now here's the thing. God doesn't just stir up people who are in high places. So it's not just kings and leaders of nations. God will stir up the heart of any person who is seeking him, or any person he's seeking. God seeks us the same way as it's kind of portrayed, especially Psalm 2, the Lord is our shepherd. He comes looking for us, and not just to find us as a human in our naturals, but he is seeking access to our heart, our inner being, where things really matter. Because we live now in an age, for example, where filters is all the rage, right? Everything filtered. And this even before social media and the rise of virtual reality, so to speak. Filters have kind of been, because there are different ways to filter things, right? So a lot of, in the professional world, there was a lot of filtering. Now, every person who has access to technology can filter their lives, right? How things appear. And so we've got to ask ourselves, am I using, because the type of filter we use matters. That's why sometimes there's a lot of laughable things on the internet, because when you filter things the wrong way, you end up with a funny moment. Though here's the thing, it's not laughable in real life if we get in a situation where we filtered something through using the wrong filter. And so what type of filters have you been using in your life? I believe the right filter for life is one that takes us back to like Genesis, one that encourages us to kind of always be willing to be in this beginning, beholding, becoming attitude, where we're allowing the Spirit of God to stir us and to move us, because as we continually allow Christ to be made manifest in our lives, we are not hidden, because filters are not supposed to hide us. And filters is not supposed to cloud a perspective and a perception of God or of our circumstances. And so when we are in tough seasons in life, and that could mean things from financial situations, relationships, loss of relatives. I had a lot of friends who came into this new year losing parents, losing family members, losing friends. And that's not an easy season to be in. I've faced it. I have a lot of other people I know have faced those types of losses. And it's not the kind of thing you just shake off and move on. But we don't ever want those seasons where we are tried and challenged to cause us to forget who God is, or who we are, and how he is present and working in our lives. We need to remember him as the God of heaven. We see him in the Old Testament a lot as the God of heaven, in Daniel, in Ezra and Nehemiah, the God of heaven. He is our help. We need to remember that we are his children. Sometimes we forget that. We feel so abandoned and lost. We forget we have a God in heaven who is our Father, and he is so close. But sometimes we feel so lost and we feel so lonely and abandoned that we forget that we are his children. And receiving salvation, a great gift, right? Gathering with other believers is wonderful. However, a lot of times we've had so much trouble, we've been filtering things that just only leave us kind of with the form of godliness and not truly living as citizens of heaven or seeking the kingdom. And I really want to encourage you today to look at how you have kind of been seeing yourself, seeing God. How is that reflected in your expectation, in your hope? Because, as I was reading through Ezra today, one of the things when you look at the God of heaven, the God Most High, and you read through Daniel too, you see he rules over the kingdoms. He rules over the kingdoms of men. He rules over nations. But most importantly, he rules over all. The kingdom of heaven is over all, and it is indestructible. So we can trust the gospel of the kingdom. We can trust the dominion of the kingdom, right? And when Jesus, I'm looking at, I had kind of gone through all of today with the teachings of Jesus, where he was speaking, and he spoke of the kingdom more than anything. More than anything. I spent almost all day kind of, okay, where did he say this? And out of all the hours I spent on this, there was still more of him reflecting on, speaking, preaching, teaching, every parable focused on the kingdom. That's what Jesus, while he was on this earth in human form, he stayed focused on the kingdom. He did the work of the kingdom, right? And that is the example that he left us. I am just encouraging you today, as I have been encouraging myself, for the first few weeks of this year. I have not tried to jump out and do anything. I have not tried to, rush ahead of God in anything. My prayer has been, for many reasons, because I want to make right decisions. I don't want to be doing things based on an expectation that is not God or a direction that he's not in. And so I have literally just said, God, I want to make this daily choice to prioritize seeking and partaking and living in the power of the kingdom. You know what I'm saying? Because our joy, our peace, everything we need is in the kingdom. So wherever you are on this planet today, wherever you are in this moment, whatever you have been seeking so far in 2023, I just encourage you, do not lose faith. Do not lose hope. Keep seeking the kingdom. And on the days or in the moments when you feel alone or abandoned, or sometimes you think, maybe I've been off track, or I've gotten off track and I'm too far gone, or I'm so far behind. Sometimes you feel those things, that why bother seeking God? Why bother seeking the kingdom if I'm just so far away, or I feel so far away from him, from his power, from his plans, from his purposes? But we've got to remember what the Psalm 139 say. We're never beyond his reach. And even when we're not seeking him, he is seeking us. Sometimes we just don't have that epiphany. We don't see the manifestation. Our perception has been filtered to the point where we can't even really see what God is trying to show us. And so today is not too late. Whatever your circumstance, your situation, to seek the kingdom. Everything we need is in that kingdom, and it's nearer than we think. Seek the kingdom. Keep seeking the kingdom, because the kingdom is near. It's nearer than you think. And I just encourage you to not lose hope, not lose faith. Just take a breath, pause, pray. God is present. God is powerful. And he is seeking you. He is working for you. He's working in you. He is as diligent in seeking you out and in stirring up your heart as he is the leader of a nation or somebody that you think might be important. You're that important to God. You are that one person that he is seeking. So you seek him. Don't be afraid to seek him. Don't think everything is too far gone. Trust him. Put your hope in him. His kingdom is joy. His kingdom is peace. His kingdom is love and protection. And his kingdom, it does not fail. His kingdom is everlasting. His kingdom is indestructible. This kingdom of God is one place that you can put your expectation in. So I am praying for you for everything that you are believing for everything about your life, your family, your community, the nation that you're living in, the places that you're traveling. I am praying that you become more and more aware that the kingdom is near. God bless you.